Welcome to the 9th day of Christmas, Realignment Yoga Edition. Today we're going to look at the hamstring stretch. So I think most people who come to yoga, I know everyone always says, I have such tight hamstrings. And so today we'll look at a really effective stretch for helping to lengthen your hamstrings. But I think it's really important to consider how much time you spend sitting. So if you're a person who has tight hamstrings, and you have a life where you're spending, 8 to 14 hours a day sitting, you have to think about the fact that our hamstring starts at our sits bone and ends at our knees. So those long muscles in the back of your leg go right from the bony part of your bum to the top of your calf. So if you are sitting in a chair with knees at about 90 degrees, you have a chronically shortened hamstring. And same thing if you have a chronically tucked tail. So if you have a rounded back, you're shortening the hamstring from the bottom and the top. So, doing 5 minutes of hamstring stretching a day isn't going to make up for hours and hours and hours and hours of sitting with a shortened hamstring. So if you really want to change your body, you first of all have to learn how to sit with an untucked tail, and then secondly, sit less. So things to consider. But let's look at our stretch. So I'm gonna get you to lay down on your back. We kind of touched on this the other day in the psoas release. Lots of times when we lie on our back, first you might notice your hamstrings are off the floor. You might notice your ribs are flared or your chin is elevated. And so we want to take in all those things into account. So you would get some props. It doesn't have to be a bolster, it could be whatever. It doesn't have to be a half foam roller, it could be whatever. You want to bolster yourself up so that your ribs are down and your hamstrings are on the floor. So if we were just to go into this stretch, we do this a lot in yoga where, your aim is to hold your foot. I don't know if you can see. You can kind of see how my right thigh is now off the floor, my pelvis is tipped back, and my back is flat. And I have a little bend in my knee. So yes, I can get my foot, but I'm doing a lot of things to compensate for the actual lack of hamstring range of motion. So you want to prop yourself up, get your ribs down, get your hamstrings flat, and then you're going to get a strap. And it doesn't have to be a yoga strap. It could be the belt of your house coat. You can get the strap, put it on the sole of your foot. And if you kind of shimmy it to sit on the ball of the foot, not the arch. And then you just pull the leg up. And you pull the leg up to the place where your bottom hamstring stays on the floor and your pelvis stays level. And then you just sort of let the leg get heavy. Your heel will move away from you and your toes will come closer to your face. And you want to watch that you're not super tensing your shoulders or really tensing your jaw. You can let all that go. You also want to notice if you're deforming your foot, like if you're smearing the foot at all. Try and find a well-aligned ankle. And then while you're hanging out here, you can rainbow the stretch a little bit. But at the hip, you turn the femur in and out. That'll change, where you're feeling the stretch. You could also, wave your leg from side to side. And generally speaking, you'll get inner leg stretch if you let the leg go wide. And you get kind of outer leg, or maybe you want to call that IT band stretch as you go across the body. So you hang out here for as long as comfortable. And then you can switch sides. It's always nice, nice, depends on how much you love stretching your hamstrings. It's always nice to, do it a couple times from side to side. So you don't just do it once. You could lay on your floor while you're watching TV and do this. And when you switch sides, a little bit of external and internal rotation of the femur. Watch that you're not bending the knee. And then again, you can wave the whole leg from side to side. You just hang out here. Keep dropping your ribs, keep relaxing your belly. And remember, you know, if you are shortening your hamstrings for 10 hours a day, stretching them, even if you go to a yoga class and you stretch them for, let's say, 50 minutes, at the very, very most, it's still a pretty small fraction of the time. So if you really, really want to create some change, you gotta sit a little bit less. So good luck with your hamstring stretch. I hope you do it often. We'll see you tomorrow on the 10th day of Christmas.